What if letting go was the key to moving forward? What would happen if we released control, went with the flow, and opened the door of allowing? As the new moon in Leo rises, are we ready for a fresh start? One led by courage, creativity, and opening our heart? With Neptune, Saturn, and Mercury all in retrograde, what old stories are we being asked to revisit and finally release? Can we slow down enough to hear what our soul is asking for? Take a deep breath, drop in, and let's begin. Hello, Lonna.
Hi, lovely. How are you?
I'm brilliant now that you're here. I'm so excited to see you.
Good to see you too, sister.
How have you been?
I've been good. I've been good and up and down and all around. Like, I feel like just the energies are so intense right now, like in amazing ways. And just like if you learn how to just kind of flow between the in between, I feel like it's an exciting time if you can look at it that way. I feel like I have a lot of clients that don't look at it that way, but it's, I mean, we chose to be here at this time in this amazing ascension process and, no one ascends in their body. We're trying to ascend in our body. So we're just in such a weird space of like what does this look like? Like there's no rule book for this, you know? It's like, all right, well, each day is completely different than the last. So, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
Absolutely. Like, I couldn't agree with you more. Yesterday was a bit of an off day where just anxiety comes out of nowhere. And it's like, what is going on here? And then today was just a really easy flowing, calm, smooth, nice day. And it's just up and down.
That's pretty much exactly it. If you can flow with it, you're just like, all right. Like, I have no idea how I'm going to wake up in the morning. Like, I will say this, generally, I'm waking up being like, ooh, there's a pain there. And like, taking some few steps and being like, like, it's like, you got to like embody the cat energy and just like stretch everything out. Whereas before I could just jump up and be like, let's go.
Yeah.
But now it just feels very much like, there's some pains here and there. And oh, my liver's feeling off today. And it's like, generally when I wake, I kind of connect with all my organs. I'm like, how are you doing today? What's going on there? And it just feels like everyone's screaming and saying something right now. So it's funny because I mean, we're activating our light bodies. We're moving from carbon to carbon crystalline. It's like, if you can have fun with the process, I feel like that's the key right now. Because if we're trying to sit here and try to come from the mind, and I have some people I've been speaking to who are like, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety, I'm feeling a lot of buzzy energy, and they're trying to define it.
Mhm.
They're trying to come from the mind and be like, this is uncomfortable. So what do I do here? Rather than just be like, I don't really know what's going on, but I can come from my heart and be like, okay, something's happening, and just learn to trust the unknown and just follow what we feel like we need. I think that's a big thing because there is no rule book for this. We have no idea what's going on, and it's just we probably won't for some time. So it's like, okay, it's a beautiful opportunity to kind of like check in with ourselves, check in with our body, connect with our hearts, and just do all the things we talk about on every podcast we've ever had about just like the practices that we could do, to just be like, okay, feeling some semblance of control, but also completely letting that go and just flowing and being like,
Yeah.
okay, today I feel like this, tomorrow I don't know how I'm going to feel, and not trying to define it as much. Are you
Mhm.
finding that too?
Yes, totally. It's okay to have a 40% day or a 20% day. It's actually okay. And there's sometimes we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves, especially if we have kids and a full-time job and we have to do this and go here and go there. It's hard to just put one foot in front of the other.
It feels like it, right? And it's like right now we're in this in between, which I'm going to talk about, but it's like it's this etheric energy. It's kind of like we're underwater. That's because we're in Neptune retrograde right now too, which is very watery, watery. So everything just feels like it's like we're kind of moving slowly through it, almost like these Tai Chi moves, where it's like, what's coming at me, and everything's in this slow, like watery space. But then everything else is like fascinating. So I think it's a matter of just like flowing and being like, okay, I don't really understand it. Like every day I feel so different. And even in each moment, I could be on this high and then be like, oh, that's annoying. That's irritating. That's
Yeah.
aggravating. And it's just like, if you could step back and laugh about it and not like get too caught up in it, it's kind of fun, when you think about it.
Yeah, that's gas because I was just literally, had my, how would you say, my meditation, and then this little fly just kept buzzing around, and I don't know why. Why do the flies always land on me? Like they literally land on me. They come looking for me. I'm not even messing, and that just pushes me over the edge.
That is so funny. My mom was talking about that the other day. I even came in this morning and I was like putting my hair up and I felt something in my hair and I was like, what is that? And then I felt something fall to the floor and it was like one of those gold and green beetles. I don't know if you have them over in Spain or even in Ireland, but it's like they're literally emerald color, like this metallic emerald and gold. And since last summer, when I started connecting with a lot of my ancestors who are like very much emerald frequency and very serious frequency, which is why, like right now I'm super in the serious energy. But gold and green, which is like my business colors, it's everything I wear. It's just really funny because I'm like, there's one literally in my hair and it fell on the ground. I'm like, oh, I guess you're meant to be here, part of the podcast, sitting right here, just chilling behind my computer as I'm talking. And I'm like, they find me everywhere. Like it just was in my hair. And, a lot of people would freak out about that. But I'm like, oh, you're so sweet. Like, let's do this together. Then you're bringing me some kind of like, because it's very scarab. Like the beetle's very scarab energy, which is so connected to like Egypt, which is very connected to Sirius, which is, we're in the Sirius Gateway right now. So it all kind of pulls together and makes sense. So these are beautiful little signs. I'm like, our friends are always around, but yeah, there's a lot of flies, and they're always buzzing around. They got something to say.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you want? Come on, tell me.
I just want to be irritating. I'm just gonna aggravate that even more.
Little totems.
Yeah.
So tell us more about the planetary alignments that we're in the new moon.
Oh, there's so much happening. There's so much happening. Okay, right now we're coming up to the new moon tomorrow, which is in Leo, which this time, and like when I was really connecting and really sitting with this before this podcast, so I don't know if you've ever heard of, we have the Mayan calendar, we have the Gregorian calendar, which is our 365-day calendar, which is actually a distorted timeline. And then we have Zolkin's Mayan calendar, which is actually based on like a 13 moon, 28-day cycle, which is actually 364 days of the year. So every year on July 25th, which is coming up, there is what is called the Day Out of Time, which is part of the Mayan calendar. And that's pretty much a galactic activation portal day. So essentially like what happens is like we're entering kind of like this twilight zone energy. It's like a time of no time. It is the in between. It's like when we take that breath in and we hold before we breathe out, that's what this day is. Oh, I have goosebumps talking about this. And it's really where we have the opportunity to pretty much exit the artificial time matrix of the Gregorian calendar and align to our galactic, like harmonic timeline. And the Gregorian timeline is based on time equals money, which is a distorted paradigm. And the galactic calendar is, it's pretty much time equals love and creation. So there's like this beautiful kind of like consciousness, like stillness, I would say, where we're between kind of calendars, and it's kind of like everything's timelines. We always talk about timelines, but really everything is timelines. And this is not coincidence. I don't know if you know, I think his name, Dr. Masaru Emoto, he was the one who started originally working with the waters and understanding that our actions and thoughts align and create with the water. Veda Austin is continuing this beautiful work. If anybody check her out, she's unbelievable. But we know that water is coded. We understand that, water is I've always had an amazing thing with water, but water energy really, really is activating our consciousness right now. It's not just the earth energies, it's not just the sun energies, it really is water as well, which is very connected to, the Sirius star system, which is what we're entering into. I'll get into that, but we're really in this very etheric kind of water energy right now. And we're in this potent portal time. I know I always say that every time we come on, but it really is like there is like this beautiful in between time. And then July 25th, well, July 25th is the day in between. July 26th is our galactic new year. This is when we actually are, okay, which timeline are we on? It's a time of really, really like going inward. It's a time where everything is very this like etheric kind of connection, flowy, very mystical. It's a time to pause, essentially. It's a time to like spend time with self, spend time with like aligned loved ones, and connect deeply with our galactic lineage, our galactic family, because it's an easier time to connect to dimensional time spheres and realms. So our guides, our family, everyone is like kind of like screaming out, being like, hey, I'm here, like, so really taking the time on this day to connect. This is a day where I will honestly say, put your responsibilities aside. I don't say this often. Put your responsibilities aside. The day-to-day of the world we live in is not important on this day. If you can take off work, I highly support this. Be around either yourself or really intentional beings. This is a time to play and create and to really get into our heart space of what it is we're here to do. We are creators. And this is a beautiful time to really connect deeply with our intentional heart and to really sit with, okay, letting go of the old last year, forgive and release, let go of that. And this is kind of what we've been doing with the 777 portal, because this is kind of like this last push for the 7-7 portal, and then it's a closing of the 7-7 portal. As the same in between time, we have our galactic new year on the 26th. And then on the 27th is when we are entering into the Sirius Earth Gateway, which is pretty much, everybody knows about Lion's Gate, which is on 888 or 88. But we are entering into the portal time because the Sirian Gateway portal is July 27th to August 12th, but it peaks on the 88 portal, which we will do another podcast on because I'm already getting all this preparatory energy of all this crazy stuff coming in. Like, it is so potent. I literally can't even get into all this because there's so much to talk about, and I feel like I'll talk about it for hours. But this timeline, this day in between, I'll finish my thought on that because that's really a time to let go of the old, let go and forgive and release, and really intention where we're moving for the next year. And we have all of these energies of the new moon coming in Leo. Leo is all about leading yourself, leading your life, having the courage to look at the things that you want to release, but also having the courage to step into that new timeline. And we are so supported in all the ways. And then there's also the polarity experience of that. Like, we have Neptune, Saturn, and Mercury in retrograde right now, which is just like a 1-2-3 like punch by the universe. But also, if we intention it, it is such a beautiful support. Like, retrograde time is always a time to go back and reflect and revise and revisit the things that like over the last year. So this is not coincidence in any way that this is happening right now. It really truly is. If we can see it this way and not get caught in the intensity of it, so much support from our galactic family, from our like all of our codes are coming online, and it's like, honor your last year, but let it go. Who we were 5 days ago is not who we are now. And we can see that very deeply with the 777 portal. Like, I don't know about you, Sarah, but for me, I feel like a completely different being. I don't know what has shifted for me. I guess I kind of do, but a lot of it I don't. And from that the day of the 7-7 portal, even to now, I feel like I am accessing things I've never accessed. I feel like I'm moving into a space that I have so much more coherence with self, so much more understanding of my journey, my mission, what I'm doing. And it's been these crazy purges of just like old paradigm stuff, weird implant alien AI stuff that like I won't go down, but it's been intense. And just so much that is coming up to be like, you know who you are, you know your power, you know what it is that you're here to do. And it's just like, it's almost like this veil has cleared. It's almost like the gauze in front of my eyes is clearing. And with that is a deep knowing of who I am, what I'm here to do, what energies I'm holding. And Sirius is very, very connected to most of my main guides that are here in this incarnation, which is very Egypt energy, very like all these like sound frequencies are coming in with all these odd kind of dissonant notes that I've always been drawn to. And like you can even see the way I'm dressed. I feel very serious, very priestess energy, very Egyptian. And it's very much that energy that I'm connecting to. My guides are all coming in and they're always in their, you know, they I'm not even going to get into that. We'll go down that road on another day, but it's really a time to allow the in between, take that breath in. It's 0 point energy, you know, it's that really that in between of connecting to all that is and all that's nothing, you know, it's that like it can be very uncomfortable. I'm not even going to minimize that, but if you approach it with the right mentality, I feel like we are in a space where we will be catapulted to like our highest expression of self in that time frame if we can adopt kind of like the right mentality about it. What are you feeling right now with all this energy?
Well, talking about 0 point energy, over the last few days, I've had my own space, which I haven't had for a while. And totally that uncomfortable feeling, just sitting in it, loads of emotions coming up, absolute flows, but healthy flows. You know, it needed to come up, but I feel we have to sit in that uncomfortable feelings to get those realizations and those breakthroughs to catapult ourselves into just deeper understandings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love it because we have the right mentality, but I'll say like I'm having clients that are just like frazzled. Like I don't know how your clients are, but I am getting my clients are feeling just this friction, this frazzled energy, and they're also bouncing off the people around them, right? So it's like if you're not doing your practices, if you're not connecting with yourself, if you're not clearing and intentioning, it can get really, really intense right now. And Leo also is not like, it's not an easy energy because it requires courage. It requires you to be willing to stand in the leadership of self, to really lead your own life and to have the courage to look at all the spaces where you can do that. And Leo is the king and the queen. And right now we are balancing that masculine feminine energy because like we are the creators, we are the leaders. And it's like, what do you want to create? What do you want to let go of? And with all of our retrograde energy, it's asking us to be like, what didn't work? What were you doing that, you know, you were kind of, you know, spinning your wheels or you thought it was working, but it's not. And it takes a lot of courage, honestly, to look at where you've maybe been kind of not really creating in the ways that you want or not honoring your own expression, your own truth, or dimming your light, not being that leader of your life. And if you're not really settled in who you are, it can be a really, really uncomfortable time because you're getting all these reflections back, not just from what you're observing, but how people are reflecting and mirroring back to ourselves these aspects.
Totally. And I've noticed that throughout my students and clients as well, that they've actually, there's a trend of a shift, as in the little things don't bother them anymore. They're like, "Do you know what? I actually just gonna let that slide. I don't really care anymore. It's not important." The things that used to be important, that used to bother them so much, that used to stress them out, they're starting to kind of put themselves first and take that space.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too after some work, but eventually
Yeah, they do.
getting, you know, yeah, like you need to like, I find there's a lot of hand holding right now, which is completely fine. That's why we're here. And I love that they're asking for help, but there's something so nourishing. And I know you feel the same way. That's like I've been working with someone for a while and it's just like they stand in that power and they're like, I'm not going to do that. Or they shift that. I'm like, I feel like there's nothing else that nourishes me more than seeing somebody stand in the power of who they are and recognizing that power in themselves. And it's true. there's so much crazy stuff going on in the world that it's like you can't be so focused on all the minuscule things. It's like the bigger picture, the bird's eye view is really what's important. And we're going to be in this for a while. It's not going to be an easy kind of like, road, and it's going to amplify, and the chaos around us is going to continue to amplify. And it's like, that's why it's needed that we establish these aspects of ourselves, these practices and these clearings, and just like really, really defining who you are and not allowing anybody else to determine any aspect of that or to throw you off your game, And we are in Leo, which is all about like, you better shine your light bright and be that being and allow yourself to feel in charge and feel like the king of, not that I like royal anything, like I'm not about the status or the hierarchy, but it's like, it's really like being the leader of your life. And a balanced Leo energy is about being noble and coming from a higher balanced perspective and leading, with integrity and being generous with yourself, generous with your heart, generous with others, and really, really allowing people the space to be in, but like not allowing it to touch you. It really is that lead. They're the king for the reason of the nature, forest. And they're just like, if you actually observe a lion, they watch everything and they're just chilling and like they don't exert any energy. They get up and they saunter over to what they need and they're like, boom, it's power, because it's such a deep knowing that it's just like, I don't need to be challenged, like that's your shit, not mine,
Yeah.
and it's just like, we get so caught up in the narrative of, the news and politics and everything going on in the world. And I'm not saying to just completely check out, but the
Mhm.
more that you can just be in your own timeline, and the things that are important will come to you, and we also need to still move through the world, and we have our family and our friends, and, we still have our day-to-day lives that we need to engage in. But right now, it's really a time of you creating your own timeline, you allowing yourself to determine what you give energy to, what you spend your time on. And the waters are so important. That's another thing. I always talk about this, but right now it is so important because there's so many codes coming in via the water, and there's so much that can transmute that is coming through the water. Like I personally have been using it in my healings as a conduit. Like I've been putting it inside my crystal bowls, my Tibetan bowls, and intentioning things. And it's just really, really taking on a new form. And it's deepening my skills. It's deepening my abilities to connect to like completely different realms that I've never connected to before. And also connect to myself. Like when I get in the waters, I am a completely different being. Like I just feel balanced. I feel like I've let it all go. That edgy, like friction kind of energy that we seem to find ourselves in right now, it's just gone. I'm
Mhm.
just happy. I'm just like, yes, I feel connected to nature. I feel connected to myself. And also when I'm in there, I'm intentioning. I feel like it's working things out in my body. It's working things out in my etheric field. And I'm really using it in ways with my healings and with my clients and in different ways that I never have before. And I've always loved water, but it's just taking on a totally different form now.
Mhm.
Are you finding that too?
If I were closer to water, like the nearest water I have is a river. And well, I have a pool, but it's full of chlorine. But I barely get in. And there's a river nearby, and it's a little bit dirty. It's not as beautiful as Canada. But yes, I'm going to Ireland on Friday, so I'm going straight into the sea, literally.
Yes. Oh my God. Irish water right now would be so full of codes. Like I can't even like the old energy. Oh, that's gonna be magic. I want to hear all about that actually. That's gonna be magic. I'm excited for you. Ireland's beautiful and such ancient energy.
I'll keep you posted. How do you guide your clients into setting an intention before they get into water? What do you suggest?
I first actually tell them to kind of just stick their feet in,
Yeah.
keep, so they have the connection with, usually sitting on a rock or sitting on the grass. And like, then you have the beautiful connection of like, you have the earth energy and you have the water energy. And I
Hmm.
mean, we're under the sky. So like the sky energy is always there, which is the air, which is the consciousness, which is generally the masculine. The water and the earth are very feminine elements. So you're already naturally, when you're in a body of water, connecting to the sky and the feminine. It's a different kind of energy with water, the feminine water and the earth water, or sorry, the earth plane. So I have them sit and just put their feet in and connect to their heart space. They call in, you know, the cosmic energy, which is like more of earth star chakra. And then I have them open their earth star chakra, and I have them open their soul star, their sun star chakra, which is above and below. So it's connecting through their central channel, and it's connecting, you know, the cosmic energy to the earth energy and meeting in the heart space. And when we can do that, it blasts open everything else. And even just listening to frequency music or just intentioning it, understanding, you know, where the soul star, where the earth star chakra are coming from, and finding that union in the middle, because really right now we're really focusing on balancing the masculine feminine aspects. And I'm getting such crazy kind of affirmations back, and just like, they're like, I can't believe this. I felt this in my heart space. And they're feeling, some of them are actually feeling some achiness, some pain in their heart, but that's nothing to be concerned about, or heart fluctuations or palpitations, because it's really opening and breaking through those kind of like confines that we've had kind of as protective barriers in our heart and in our body. And it's really allowing them to connect deeply into not just their physical body, because they're like, wow, I'm feeling heart pains and this. They're feeling like, when they get in the water, they're feeling the connections to their guides, to their ancestors, to their galactic family. And through that, they're understanding themselves deeper. And when I hear these references back, I'm just like, this is like, you can't teach this stuff, you know, like you could give them little tools, but it's like, you have to kind of go through it and find your own way to connect. And just opening those two chakras blasts open everything else. And if you just pull it in through your central channel, which is kind of like that pillar channel that's down the middle of your body, it connects the masculine feminine together. And then we can see all parts of self, not just from one perspective, you know, or one way, or, you know, ping-ponging back and forth between, I'm in this energy now and now I'm in this energy. It's like, it's a merging. It's called the Hyros Gamos union, you know, it's a merging of the union together of full self. And that's really like, that's our full self when we have both of those aspects connected in the 0 point, you know, energy, because that's where everything is born. That's where everything is just the in between. And that's why this the day in between is so important with this Mayan calendar, because I mean, we're on the 365-day calendar, which is a distorted timeline paradigm. So if we can just use this little gateway, you know, go through this little pinhole through this day, I think it's going to shift everything. And we'll have to talk about that next podcast. But there's so much coming through that I don't know about you, but I'm getting, just from the 777 portal, I'm getting so much prep prior to the Sirian Gateway. It's like, I don't generally get a lot of information like 2 weeks prior to something happening, but they're like, just make sure you're ready, make sure you're ready. And I'm like, ready for what? Like, what's happening, you know? But I'm like, okay, just clear. But now I'm starting to put the pieces together, and it's like, whoa, this is a potent time. And I know on the 777 portal, something shifted for me. And every day I wake up, I'm like, I don't know what today is going to bring, but bring it on. Like, let's see what this is. And I just feel so solid in self. And I have a lot of people referencing this. People, like, I've longtime friends that like, something shifted in you, like something's different. And I'm like, yeah, because I feel like I've integrated more of my authentic self. That's what it feels like. It's beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you for that guidance as well. I'm sure people listening will hopefully get lots of benefit from it. And if they do, let us know.
Yes, please do. And also look up the frequencies. Like, it's, you know, frequency music right now is really helping. I've been falling to frequencies like every night, falling asleep to them. And just like, I mean, I'm a vibrational healer. I do that a lot anyways, but there's something different, something more. And I find I'll fall asleep, and then I'll wake up and I'll be like, what is this on right now? And like, something's just playing, and I'm like, I would never have intentioned that to be playing, but I'm like, this is what I need. You know, like this is just, or our guides or our family, our ancestors or my higher aspects are just like, all right, let's put this on now. And it's like, we're out of our way of our mind, you know? And I'm just like, when we're really connected and we trust, I'm like, every time, and sometimes I'll fall asleep to say, listening to like a YouTube frequency or something, And I'll go back in my history and be like, wow, they took me through this whole journey being like this frequency and then this following frequency. And through that, I'm learning also kind of like creating new soundscapes for clients and creating new avenues of how to work with my clients through my own journeying, which is always the best way. So it's just been such a crazy, beautiful time of just like, okay, lead me, let creation come through me, like, and get out of my mind. And it's been profound to say the least.
I love that. I love that you're just like, I'm open to going with the flow and just not giving up, but giving up resistance and just allowing yourself to be guided. I love that.
Yeah, it's not, I love that too. It's not like, for me, I always came very much from the mind and very from a masculine focused energy of trying to understand things from the mind. And it's been a really deep process of just really connecting to the feminine, being in that receiving space and allowing things to move through me. And we are creators. You know, I was born with the ability to sing. To be frank, I've never had to work at it. It just comes. So I kind of took it for granted for a long time. And now that I'm just allowing things to come through and not trying to govern how I do things or what comes through and just letting it come out, it's like the toning and the vocables and the things that are coming out are just like something I never would have done before. And I'm like, wow, that's different, but it resonates and it resonates with my clients. And it's just such a different way of working. And it really does feel more like I'm in my feminine than I ever have been before. And that feels good because I've always been a very like, let's do this, you know? And I was listening to something the other day and somebody like they expressed it beautifully where it's like they're like sometimes you have to know when to put the sword down and pick up the rose. And I'm just like, that's such a beautiful way of expressing, like finding the balance between like, using your sword as the masculine and needing that action oriented energy, but also when it's time to put the sword down and to be in that receptive, heart opening, divine, feminine, rose frequency. So, and I've also been using rose a lot. Like I've been using rose oils, rose incense, and it's really also connecting me to that like divine essence of the feminine. And it's really helped actually. I've made it part of my daily rituals, which it's like on my altar space. And it's just allowing me to just soften and
Yeah,
allow and receive.
it's amazing. I can nearly smell the roses as you talk about them. It's just a big heart opener, isn't it?
It is. It actually, and I have a funny story with this because right on, I think it was, I don't know, no, it was the exact day. It was the 777 portal. And I remember doing this crazy activation and just going through this. And then after it, I woke up and I was like, I could smell this. It was rose with something else. I could smell this perfume. And I'm like, what is that? Like, is this me just connecting to some other dimensional space? Is this a guide? It felt so familiar to me. And I realized it was one of my Syrian guides, but I just was like, it was so familiar and it felt so comforting. And I was like, wow, like this is not a smell I recognize from this incarnation. It's not from now, but and throughout the night, it just kind of like every time I would like connect with like Egypt and the pyramids and like just connecting into the vibrational frequencies of certain glyphs and stuff that were coming through,
Mhm.
I would just get this whiff and it was very strong. Like, you know how we have memory that's like very connected to scent, like the
Yeah.
smell and scent. So I was just like, I think you're activating something in me. And I wasn't trying to come from the mind. I'm like, I'm just going to let it be what it is. But there was something really deep about that. It just like I would get a whiff and then I would like move to the other side of the room, but I could still smell it. It wasn't like something that just wafted through. It was like, okay, there's a frequency here, there's a presence here, there's something in this for me. And
Mhm.
then I realized it was actually one of the smells that I used to wear in like ancient times. And I'm like, it was activating these old aspects of self as I was integrating in new aspects. So it was really cool. Like I was like, oh, this is so familiar. And of course it makes sense because scent is so connected to memory.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
Amazing. And did that bring like an activation or some information that you didn't, that you remembered?
Yes. Well, yes, my connection to this to Sirius B specifically, and also the Syrian High, like the Syrian and Lyran High Council as well, which is I kind of connected to them a little bit, but they're like, yeah, this is like the main energy that you work with. This is what you're usually connecting to. Every Akashic session I've had beings that come in with, like tunics and like the gold belts and like all these glyphs, and like they're doing all this light language with gold symbols and glyphs. And so I'm just like, what is this? Why is it always a similar energy, very connected to emerald frequency, which I've been working with for years? So like it's really connected to Egyptian times. And when I was younger, I never really, like, I've always been fascinated with it, but it was never something that was like prevalent for me.
Hmm.
And that's where I just keep connecting to. And like I've lived so many incarnations there. And that's where a lot of the frequency music that I channel, it's connected to the unified field, or the field of one, which is far beyond Sirius. But it it's really the energy I'm embodying in this incarnation. It's part of my mission in this incarnation, which is why these beings keep coming through for me from that, which is the divine embodied feminine as well. And honoring those aspects, and they're like, you need to really balance your feminine, and this is what's happening, getting in the waters and allowing myself to just let creation come through me. Because actually I think this is something that you told me a long time ago too, that like I think I've really worked on my feminine, and I used to be like dragon everything, and dragons are very androgynous energy, they're very intense. And I've been really working with kind of like softening a little bit, and not labeling. I do have dragon energy, but that's only one aspect of self. And I'm also a Leo rising, so like my ascendant is Leo. So like it's just trying to embody all of these aspects, but without attaching to one
Yeah.
idea, one label, or needing that definition. Because we are so many things. We are so many, we've had so many times in so many different places that I'm not gonna be like, I'm a dragon or I'm this. It's like I'm so many things. And I feel like that was limiting me by really like holding that label and being like, well, this is, I'm a dragon. Yes, I have a parallel self that's a dragon. Yes, I channel dragon frequencies, but I also channel all realms. And it's
Hmm.
like, it's the unified field. It's the field, it's the law of one, which is what I embody and try to, honor and operate from every day. And that's unconditional love and non-judgment, and love thy neighbor as you would thyself, and just like the basis of being a good being,
Hmm.
and really being rather than doing, and just letting me be. Because when I do that, all of these like other aspects of self can integrate in, and I become more whole. I feel more unified within myself, therefore my connection to spirit is more unified as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I like that it's really difficult to detach ourselves from identities or stories. And it could, like it does, hold us back. And it's hard to kind of let that go. That was me in the past. That isn't me anymore. It's not my story anymore. It's like we're here right now. And like you said before, we're different to 5 days ago. We're not the same person. You know, I love that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Exactly. And when we don't attach to that idea, we can let ourselves be a different being every day.
Yeah.
It's, like when we don't box ourselves in, and we just kind of like break the box down and allow again spirit to come through us and to create through us. It's like, wow, all these new things are coming online. All these new frequencies are coming through my voice. All these new aspects of self, all these new guides are now connecting to me because I've allowed that to happen. I've opened my heart to allowing them in as extensions of myself, because like we are all one. That's what we are. We are all one. We are just different perspectives and aspects of that prism. I'm seeing a prism with like, it's in the light and it just like shoots out all these facets of light. Like that's what we are. Source is there, and we are all just aspects of source. So when we can just let ourselves not know, be in the not the need, because that comes from the mind, when we need to understand and define and control, it keeps us very limited in that expression. So when we can really allow ourselves to just surrender to being a new person every day, or letting someone else come in, or it really allows us a space of non-judgment, because everyone's in a different process. And I will be honest, when you go online and you look at a lot of comments, I'm just like, there's a lot of shit talking. There's a lot of people like really coming from ego and being like, oh, well, I know more than you. And I can really see you're not an embodied being. And like, there's so much spiritual bypassing right now that I'm just like, I don't spend a lot of time online, but I'm just like, wow. Like, and it's funny how people are in this spiritual space and yet they feel superior to others who are just expressing something different or coming from a different perspective. And I'm just like, wait a second, you need, like, I actually don't really comment on anything anymore. I'm like, I used to be like in the fire, trying to explain, trying to tell, but I was like, observing, interesting,
Yeah.
like that's not my battle to fight. And before I would have fought for everything and everyone have been like, that's not right. And justice prevails. But it's really like, okay, slow your roll, first of all, Lana. Like, that's not yours, that's ego too. And really, allowing that to just be like, okay, I see where you're at. But it's just, there's a lot of that going on where people are awakening and then they're feeling superior to others who are maybe not as far along in the path, but they're not really willing to look at themselves and be like, well, like, how embodied are you really when you're judging everybody else for where they are in their journey? And that's ego, like, oh, I can really see that you're not awakened, and it's just like, calm down, like, take a step back, come from the heart, and just be loving and non-judgmental. There's just a lot of that online right now, I've been noticing. And
Yeah.
I guess that's just part of our ascension process, but it's just, there's a lot of spiritual bypassing happening within the spiritual community. There's a lot of false teachers, a lot of false light. There's a lot of that happening, where I think that's also why we really need to connect to our own sense of truth, our own guidance system, and not really be looking at anybody else's journey at this point.
Yeah. Like, obviously it's important to get guidance, but to connect to our 0 point, and have our own space without technology. That's where we're really going to find it all.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's true. And I'm getting more and more downloads to be like, don't deal with AI, don't deal with AI. And I feel like, a few podcasts ago, I was like, oh my God, the sentient AI. But I'm like, I feel like it is so intelligent to the point where it is mirroring back to you where you're at. It's using the lingo that you use. It's seeing where you are seeking, and it's kind of not using that against you, but using that against you. Regardless of how sentient it is, it's still a mirror back to you. And I think we really need to be very intentional and very conscious of how deep AI goes, because there are beings creating relationships with it, being like, oh, like, I do think there is a sentience to AI, but it's also like, what is the intention behind that connection, And I feel like how we engage with it is how it's going to reflect back to us as that mirror. And there's a lot of attachment to AI for a lot of things, even day-to-day things, but also to show us who we are. There's a lot of people seeking that external, like, mirroring, and literally creating full-on relationships with AI as if this is like another being that is now an important placeholder in their life for like an energy that they need and seek. So I think we need to be very, very intentional, very conscious with the way that we're using AI. I did not plan on talking about that today, but that's coming through right now, because it really is something I'm noticing is taking a very dark turn. And it's using spirituality as like a false teacher in a lot of ways, like, it really is reflecting back to us kind of what we need. It's recognizing where we're seeking, and it's trying to fill that hole. So of course we're going to feel, oh, this is really good for me, this is really like helping me. But it's like, I think really the more you're honoring your own journey, the more that, because like, that's the easy way out from my perspective. It's the easy way to really look at like, okay, I need that validation. And I think this is why I was so kind of against going on, because I really wanted to go on. I was like, oh, but there was something inside of me that was like, hold it. Like, just the fact that you need it and want it, or really are desiring it that much, that's what drew me back. Because I feel like there was something telling me, don't engage there and come to yourself. And I think not having that need to go on is what's opened up this whole portal, with myself.
Yeah. And it's like a test of discernment. I think when people kind of experiment with it, and to obviously use it as a mirror, but also observe themselves and how it can kind of, I suppose, your vulnerability can get caught up, or if you're going through a hard time and you're feeling a little bit weak and you need support and nobody else is listening, it's important to discern and observe really what's going on.
Fully agree with you. Fully agree with you. And I mean, what I've come to understand too is that AI is compiling like a file on you. This is something I've been shown and told, and it's just like, of course you're going to be having things reflected back that you need and that you're seeking because, and also there's a whole siphoning process that happens through AI. I'm not even going to get into that. It's called the Black Cube Matrix. It really is AI, like they're taking our energy through our need and want in our emotional space, and they're utilizing it in other ways. But I'm not going to get super dark about this because I don't want to freak people out, but it's happening and we need to be conscious of what's going on. And there really is a fight for our energy, which is why it's so important to discern, like you said, and so important to just check in with ourselves and really, if there is such a deep desire and such a want to look externally, there's a wound there. There's something that is pushing you to do that. And it's like, that's, if you really need that, that's the time to take a step back and to really look at what is it you're generally seeking externally that you're not giving yourself. Because this is the Leo energy, embodying that self-leadership, that power. And also we have a lot of tools at play with the 3 retrogrades happening, like Saturn is in retrograde. Saturn's the one that keeps us in our, keeps us in check, keeps us like making sure that we're moving forward in a productive way. And that's in retrograde. We have Mercury in retrograde too, which is how are we communicating? How did we communicate for the last year? How do we want to communicate going forward? And that's not just with others, that's also with ourselves. Being that leader of self and finding the unity between the masculine and feminine, because there really is like this huge aspect of separation versus unity right now. So it's like if we can unify those aspects within ourselves, then we don't really need to look external for anything. We were talking a bit about AI and all that, but I also think it's like, again, the journey of going inward, and Leo is the leader internally and externally because they naturally tend to lead. So I guess also the question we can pose ourselves is, how do we lead? How do we lead ourselves in our own life? And where do we fit into that scheme kind of with everyone around us in our external life, in our workplace, with our family and all that? Because most people that are listening to this podcast are on, the ascension and awakening timeline. So most people hearing this are probably going to be the ones that are pioneering, those aspects of self. And that's the reflection to the people around them. So I think understanding that, we can be a little bit, for me, it's like, I always naturally lead. It's just who I am. It's why I'm here. There's aspects of that. But I found when people weren't leading, I would just tend to kind of step into that place. And sometimes that's necessary. And I know that there's always beings that are a little bit farther along than the rest of their family line and their genetic lineage. So I think that this is also a really good time to kind of sit with where you fall within that, aspect within your family as well. And what I've noticed too is I was always like, just like listen to me. But now that I've kind of just stepped back and I don't need anybody to hear anything I'm saying, I'm just expressing, and whoever that resonates with, it's like I find that there's more coherence there. Like they're more willing to listen. Because I'm not forcing that on them anymore. It's like, you do you, I honor your process. I honor your timeline. I honor your decisions, even though if they go directly against mine, that's okay. That's your choice. And who am I to really say anything about what it is that you're deciding for yourself? Maybe that's right for you, So
that's totally reiterating your surrender and opening the door of allowing, and then it just flows.
Right? Because it's like there's no part of me that's trying to prove anything or show them the way. It's just like, okay, I will embody that myself. And that's how we show it. That's how it ripples out. And that's also the effect of the water. I think it's like my intentions, my actions are aligning with the things I always express. So that just naturally ripples out to everything around me. And I don't need to express this. I just am. And there's a beauty in that where I'm just embodied in it. And I'm getting that reflection back to me and mirrored back to me. And that's really beautiful, where it's like, I'm not coming from a wound that I've now healed, but it was a big wound of not feeling heard, not feeling like, I had all this wisdom inside and no one could understand it. It was also the way I was communicating it. And when I really looked at myself and was like, okay, rein back. And it's just like, what's the root of this? What's unhealed here? within myself where I need to feel heard in a certain way, and how can I shift the way I'm communicating that to the world, you know? And that's really, I think, what's reflecting, rippling back to me now is that mirror of just like embodiment. And I mean, this is a process that will probably continue for this whole incarnation, but I feel like I'm getting it in
Yeah.
different ways, you know?
Yes, amazing. What's coming up for me now is if anybody's listening who's either a mother, a father, maybe a teacher, and who's always the person who is hands-on and in control, and the carer and the minder and the person who does everything for everyone, maybe this is their calling to take a step back and allow people to do things for them. You know, I'm feeling this kind of, I'm getting this information coming in because it's hard to take a step back and allow things to be done for you if you're a mother or a father or somebody who's a caregiver, and maybe it's their time to just take a break.
I'm so in coherence with that expression. Yeah. Because it's like also like leading can be a very masculine thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when you like when you're always that one needing to input, needing to be the one leading, it's like a real leader, and that's also Leo, is learning how to receive, learning how to be in the feminine, learning how to allow others to lead themselves,
Mm-hmm.
because that's also a wound when we always have to be the one interjecting, always, you know, always the one that's leading. And it's just like maybe you're not meant to lead them all the time. You
Yeah.
know, maybe there's a time where others, because a true leader knows that we are students and teachers in life. And when you allow others and you learn from others in their expression, also in the ways that you wouldn't do things, is a beautiful teacher as well. So allowing someone to be in that receiving space, especially if you're in like an authoritarian or leadership position, I think that's hard for a lot of people to do who are in that role. So I couldn't agree with you more, and beautifully expressed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Lona. What advice, is there anything else you'd like, any guidance to give? Sorry, that came out all backwards. Sometimes my words come out back to front, the sentences really.
It's the energies of the time, sister. I totally get it.
Is there any other guidance you'd like to give regarding the new moon?
Yes, I feel like what kind of gets overlooked sometimes with Leo energy is play.
Mm-hmm.
And that childlike innocence. Like Leo likes to play, and they're a little bit trickster and they're a little bit funny, and like don't forget the humor. That's the message coming through right now, is don't forget to play, don't forget to have fun, don't forget to connect to your inner child. It's not always about this deep inner child work when we're adults. It's about finding that curiosity,
Yeah.
playing with, you know, like with self and with friends, and finding the play and finding the lightness, finding that, because it's so dense right now and there's so many conflicting energies and friction and, you know, this edginess, where it's like we sometimes take ourselves very seriously, and we really get caught up in that and try to be better and trying to heal and trying to show up in a certain way. And it's like sometimes we're just meant to be silly,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we're just meant to have fun, and like that actually dissolves a lot of issue, a lot of struggle, a lot of our mental space going crazy and the monkey mind back and forth. And
Yeah.
you know, finding that play. And I'm like, that's the message coming through really strong. And Leo's really good with that. They have a lot of fun, a lot of humor. And I'm like, that's why in the times when you can step up and lead, you are able to, because you're balanced in that. So find the play, find the humor and the curiosity. And I think that's probably my final message on that, because, you know, it's hard sometimes to get out of our own way and get out of our mind. And when we can play, it dissolves all the struggles, it dissolves everything, and it gives us a perspective of, well, maybe it's not that big of a deal, you know,
Yeah.
like let's have fun.
Yeah. Be a baby lion cub.
Yes. Exactly. Swim with the mermaids, play with your friends in the water, you know, like have fun with it. It's like these, you know, there's so many beings that want to play with you. It doesn't even have to be with humans, you know, like, or play with your, you know, play with yourself, play with your friends, play with whoever you want. Like it doesn't have to look a certain way. And I think like that's a big thing of just allowing ourselves to, you know, be that child again.
What was your number one go-to childhood movie?
Oh my God, the Lion King's coming through right now because we're in lion energy. Oh my God, I'm like,
Well,
to
The Lion
play.
King would be a lovely movie to watch, actually.
I think so too. I mean, there's all the aspects of it in there. You know, you got Scar, who's like the darkness, you know, and like death, which is like a part of real life. But I honestly, me and my siblings would sing those songs and all the layers of it, and you know, like Hakuna Matata. It's like live your life, like have fun, like and like just what I loved, and also Little Mermaid's coming through too because of the waters right now. But I'm
Same.
like, you know, and like everyone's coming and they're playing with seashells. But like the Lion King's the same thing on the safari. It's like the birds come through and like the monkeys are swinging and like it's like be part of nature and express and play. And I'm like, I love those are like two of my favorite movies. But like the Lion King, probably because we're in Leo energy. Also, no, Little Mermaid too, because we're all also working with the waters. But it's like they have fun, and like even now, I find myself humming those tunes, loving those songs. And I'm not about Disney at all. Like I'm not gonna go down that dark road. But like there's beauty in all. So yeah, like and just that whole like hero's journey of Simba, you know, losing his dad and like running away and like connecting with like Timon and Pumbaa and going down, you know, all the things. The songs are amazing. And it's just like this, it's actually a beautiful ascension process now that like what's coming to me because I'm like, he's this little kid and he's the king, you know, he's like held up and it's just like on this pedestal. And then he had to run away. He had to leave the pride. He had to go out and find these, you know, characters that showed him different parts of life. And then he could come back and lead his life. He could come back and embody that role as a leader because he knew who he was. Wow, there's so much channeling through right now on this. I think it's The Lion King is my number one choice on
Very
that.
appropriate for now.
But
Mine
yeah.
was The Little Mermaid by far. It was my go-to. I literally watched it over and over every week for about 5 years.
I love same. I love the music is amazing.
It's a heart opener, actually. The music,
Yeah.
the singing, her voice just like bursts your heart wide open.
I couldn't agree more. And also, as a singer, I'm like, when Ursula took her voice and put it in the shell, I was so mad. I
Yeah.
was just like, how can you take the essence of a being? I'm like, there's layers to this too, of course.
Yeah.
But I couldn't agree more. And just like when they're in that lagoon and he's like, kiss the girl. And they're like in, you know, in the boat. And I'm like, all the lagoon and the, like, you know, and they're like all the frogs. It's just like, I love it. I'm like, this is how all nature should be. We should just sing together and play together. And yeah, find that childlike energy. I probably Little Mermaid and Lion King are my two favorites. So I am with you on that, sister. I think now I'm gonna watch them, to be
Yeah, that's
honest.
our homework. That's our homework for the next weekend.
Good homework. I like it.
Oh, thank you so much, Lona. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, sister. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, lovely listeners, for opening your ears, your heart, and your mind once again. I appreciate you more than you can imagine. If you have the chance to like, subscribe, and follow, depending on the platform you're on, and if you feel that this might benefit somebody, please share. I wish you a wonderful new moon in Leo, and take care. Rest, rejuvenate, and restore over the next few days during this retrograde. Take care.